Hey everyone, this is Tony Ross of TonyTeach.com, and thank you for coming to our first Hump Day Hangout. We are going to be animating the head, and I'm going to be doing this in Toon Boom Animate 3, and this is actually a precursor to a new title we are releasing next week, animating characters in Toon Boom Animate 3. Because there's a lot of changes that have happened since version 2, and I wanted to go over those as well as I've learned a lot of tricks since the last time I'd actually put out a title. So what we're looking at right now is the interface of Toon Boom Animate 3, and this is the character I started playing around with, named Donnie, and it's pretty much started off. I'm going to turn off the visibility of these layers here. It started off from this basic sketch. And looks even better in the drawing view. It's just a little basic rough sketch that I did, just playing around. And from that point, started going in and drawing this character out, inking him in on different layers. Now, in particular, the way that limited animation works, which is pretty much the way that I like to work, anything that's on anything that I want to move, it has to be on a different layer. So I have his nose on a layer, neck, let's see, the head, mouths, eyeballs, eyebrows. His hair I actually have in separate parts because I want to do something with that. So in the full course, there's a full section that gets up to this point, but I'm going to be starting from this point, going in and rigging this character as well as adding some color. And by the end of it, I think we're going to draw in some mouths. We're not going to do a lip sync, but we're at least going to fake one, and show you how I set up an eye blink. So the first thing I want to do is go in here and each of the parts here have to have their own pivot point or where they would rotate from. So I've already got these set up, but I just want to show you, this hair right here has a pivot point that's about right here. And so the pivot points, and these are just, think of it like putting in a thumbtack on a piece of paper, where you would rotate from. Okay, so one of the first things I'm going to start working on is I like to draw with very large gaps in my work. Like if you look at the hair, this is not a complete circle in any shape, form, or fashion. So one of the ways I like to work is with large gaps, and I like working in Toon Boom doing this because in order to do that, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool and come down to a tool called Stroke. Now what Stroke is going to allow me to do is I can draw some invisible lines. By the way, I'm using a stylus, a Wacom stylus. I'm going to press my D key, and it's showing me where my outlines are. So I can come in here with Stroke and draw the rest of these shapes in here. And this way, when I come in to add color, it will still be able to do that, and I'll be able to fill that in okay. I don't need to do it on the eyebrows. Eyes are fine also. The mouths have a lot of room here. So I'm going to draw an invisible line here. All right. and the head. Okay, this is where it gets a little interesting. One, I'm going to come in here and draw where his hair is going to be. And then I'm going to close off where his ear should be. The neck, I'm going to round this off. And round this off at the bottom as well. The nose, we'll go ahead and close this. And I think we're pretty much set. All right, so I have all those empty spaces that are done. I'm going to zoom out my character for a moment here. And one of the other things that I like to do, I like to bring in colors from classic cartoons, or one of my favorite things to do is pull colors from old comics, technically public domain comics. So there are all these things that are in public domain, and if I decided to make a movie of this or whatever, I'm allowed to do it since it's in public domain. As soon as my computer stops, there we are. All right, so I found this comic here, and I really liked the colors in it, so we go right now to my color swatches. One of the cool things about Toon Animate is you can have multiple palettes within the same document. So I have colors for my character Clarence as well as Donnie, and since we're working on Donnie right now, I'm going to start creating some colors here. And I'm going to click Add Color, double click, and I think we'll start with Donnie's hair. All right, and I'm going to grab this eyedropper. I'm going to go over here to this comic and just click once and have Donnie's hair. Now, here's the cool part. Without me jumping out of this window, I'm going to add another color. And this is going to be the eye whites, because I'm not going to use a regular white if I'm actually pulling all these colors. So I'll grab the eyedropper again. That's going to be the white. And I'm going to need his skin color. So actually with the title, I found that if you've seen the images that I've been posting, Donnie as well as his girlfriend, all of the colors are pulled from this one comic book cover. So let's go. I think it's right here for Donnie's skin. And I think that'll do it for now. One last thing. I'm going to close this out and stop scrolling with my scroll wheel. If you note, even the color black that I'm using, it's actually pulled directly from the comic book. So what I'm going to do now is grab my paint bucket. Let's get to the hair and see if I can fill that in. And as you noticed, I'm going to turn off my outlines here for a moment. You can see that that invisible line that I drew in has worked fine. All right, same there. So I'm going down each layer, and if you're wondering exactly why is his hair on separate layers, well, I know when he nods or shakes his head, I want his hair to kind of have a nice secondary action to it. So let's see, the eyebrows I'm going to leave alone. Eyeballs are going to be fine. Let's see, the eyelids, give these the normal skin color. I'm going to zoom in here, see what's going on. Ah, there we are. That's better. And it looks like I left out a spot here in his eye. Yeah. I like to leave a lot of gaps. For me, it reminds me of like Saturday or Sunday morning cartoons or comic strips, actually. So I like to work that way. And let's do the whites of the eyes. All right. The mouths. We'll get the skin color again. Okay. And the head. Let's see if we did this right. Skin color should be for the ear. Okay. And his hair should be here. And here. Let's see. So evidently there's a hole somewhere. Just need to find where that is. Now, actually, the cool thing that Toon does is these little yellow dots here are letting me know that that's where there's a potential problem. And I've just got to go in, grab my contour editor, and maybe that fixed it. We'll see. Perfect. Great. All right, get that little hole right there. Done. All right, and let's go to the neck. The nose. Good. All right, now it's going to look very weird here in a minute because I have left off, well, pretty much most of Donnie's face. So let's go back to the head layer for a moment. And because I can now see where everything is, I'm going to grab my stroke tool and come here and just draw in a very nice large area there. All right, so in theory, let's turn off our lines there. All right, he doesn't look terribly bad. There's a large hole here, but I'm not going to fix that now. I'll fix it later. But if you're looking at this right now, it looks a little bit off because, okay, well, his hair looks a little muddy because we lost a lot of the lines. And his eyes are in front of his nose, which that shouldn't be. So what we're going to do right now is start setting up some of the rigging. And I'm going to be working with Z-depth. I got to make sure my key commands are turned on so you can see what I'm doing. One of the coolest things ever is being able to move an object forward and backward with respect to the Z-axis. And I want to do that real quick. I don't have to have my Animate button turned on, but I am going to select my Transform tool. I'm going to come up here to my camera view, and just to show you how awesome this is, the nose in our layers is way down here. The neck, the head, the mouths, eyes, eyeballs, all these things are on top of that. So if you've worked in Illustrator, Photoshop, or Flash, you understand that if something's on top, then you're kind of have to kind of move stuff around. Well, I'm going to leave the nose exactly where it is, but I'm going to do a quick key command and bring it forward using the Z index. I'm going to hold down my Option key, Alt on PC, and press the down arrow once. Boom. And now our nose, even though it's way down here, is actually in front where it should be. Same thing we've got to do with the hair. Let's see. hair number 1, technically I could just rearrange those, but I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hold on my Option key, bring that forward, and I'm going to hold down both these here and bring them both forward. All right, so Donnie's hair is looking a lot better than what it was. And I'm also going to turn off my sketch. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, let's see where we are in time. Okay, good. The next thing I want to do is start to rig everything together. And what I'm going to do is I want the mouths, eyes, eyeballs, all of this stuff. I'm going to turn off my comic book there. All of this I want to be parented to the head, just this main area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on my Shift key, select all of these layers, bring this up so we can see a little bit better, and I'm going to click and drag this right on top of the head. And now we have the head being the parent of all of those. And again, we've seen how these things are disappearing, mainly because I just moved the head on top of everything. But just as we've done before, we're going to move all of this forward using our Z-axis. So let's do, hold on my Shift key, grab all of these. Now, here's the important thing. If you've ever worked in Toon Boom, if I don't have my cursor in the camera view, you can't do the little trick of bringing forward the Z-axis. Like if your cursor is down here in the timeline, it won't work. So gotta make sure my cursor's up here. Let's see if I can do this just in one little trick here. Hold down Option, press down. Okay. And so why do we parent things? Like we can pretty much collapse the head right now. Why do we parent things? This is why. I can select the head, and where I set the pivot point for the head is right here at the jaw. But now, where did Mr. Nose go? Ah, his nose isn't there. That's not good. Let's do something. Let's see. His nose should be part of the head, so let's make sure that's there. Okay, so let's try that again. We'll select the head, and if we rotate it back and forth, everything is moving correctly. And last but not least, since we have the head collapsed now, I want to grab the neck and make that parent to the head. All right, so I'm going to click and drag the head. And again, the neck shouldn't be in front. So now I've got to grab the head, hold on my Option key, press the down arrow. So we've used a lot of the Z-axis, and often I used to animate in Flash for years. All I can tell you is the little Z-axis tricks I was doing would have taken a little bit of trickery to get done. So, all right, so now I can move the head. It's parented by the neck. Or I can just move each individual part, like his nose and everything. Or let's see if I select the head. Let's see, where'd you go? There we are. Whoops. Okay, so we've got that done. Let's see, 927. All right, now, this should have been called the Z-axis show because we're about to get really deep into some stuff here. I need to open up the head, and what I want to work on is the eyes. I'm going to zoom in here. I normally have gone in and just drawn out each frame of eyes that I want, but for this particular title, I'm doing things different so we'd be able to move the eyes around and have fun with it. But in order to do that, I want to make sure the eyelids are covering the eyeballs. Now, there are a lot of ways of doing it. There's cutter tools and there's different filters. I'm going to go kind of an old school way and use a symbol, which we have not made any symbols yet, by the way. Everything we've done here is just basic drawings. So what I want to do, eyeballs are on their own layer, eyes are on their own layer. So what I want to do at this moment is make sure my library is visible. And I'm going to click and, whoops, let's not do that. It's a little trick here. I'm going to grab actually from my frame. Just grab this one frame and drag this straight over to the library. And that's going to give me a symbol for eyes. So I'm going to right click here, edit this symbol. And right now it's only one frame because I only dragged one frame over. I typically do 3 frames for the eyes. And I'm going to do the exact same thing now. I'm going to do F5 to extend my exposure. And let's see, frame 2, I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate this drawing. Technically I could go in and redraw this, but I'm not going to. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to delete these drawings for a moment, or delete the colors here. And in theory, make my life a little bit easier. And I'm going to grab this first eye round part and the second one as well. I'm going to bring my pivot point to the bottom. I'm going to squish this down just a little bit. We've got some extra pieces there. I'm going to get rid of some of my lines, so I'll just draw those back in. And I'm doing a little bit of a squash and stretch, so if I've squished those down, I'm going to also make them go a little bit wider. And so let's see what's happening. That looks pretty good. Let me turn on my onion skin. All right, and let's grab Mr. Brush. Make sure I'm using the right kind of brush. Yeah, I think so. All right, so give it a little more weight there. All right, and looks pretty good. Let's grab our color. So the whites of the eyes would be there. Skin color. And last but not least, we'll do the third frame. I'm going to right click here, duplicate this drawing. Get rid of all of these again. And I'm going to squish these down even further. Bring them out. And let's do, get our brush tool to do the closed eyes here. And let's grab our paint bucket. Okay, now for the tricky part. I'm going to add another layer inside of our symbol. And normally this would be called like a patch. I'm going to simply call this Z-axis for right now. Because what I'm going to do is come here to our layer, and I'm going to grab probably the lids, the pretty much the outlines here. Everything except, matter of fact, let's do it this way. Everything except the whites of the eyes. Okay, so I just did a cut. Let's do Command Z. I'm going to copy, now that I'm sure that I have everything but the whites, and paste on this new layer. And make sure my cursor is in the camera view. Hold on my Option key. I'm going to press the down key once, maybe twice. Okay. Wait a minute. Forgot one thing. Make sure I have the transform tool selected. Okay, that's better. Now, if you notice, I was pressing down and I was like, hey, why are the eyes moving down? You shouldn't even see any change because it's just moving forward in the Z-index, and it's not enough that you should visibly see that change. So, all right, now I'm going to do the same thing. Let's grab everything except the whites. Cut. That looks good. Command Z. Copy. Go to the layer above. Let's paste. And we'll do Option down. And last but not least, of course, this is going to be completely copied. Pasted. And we'll do Option down. Now, in theory, if I've done this correct, because I've done this before and it actually did not have it work. So if I've done this correct, I can come in here. Let's see, those are the eyeballs. Those are the eyes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the original eyes from the timeline. There he is looking very bright-eyed. And I'm going to drag the symbol of the eyes over. Okay, now, the one promising thing, it looks like the nose went behind those, which is good, because it looks like maybe, just maybe, our Z-index worked. And we'll find out here in a second. I should be able to move. Yes, it worked. So now, when we start moving the little eyes around, they're hidden behind the eyelids, which is what we wanted. Okay, now we've done all that. Mr. Nose, let's bring you back forward. Holding down my Option key, pressing down. Why aren't you working? Because the eyes are, I had several notches. Okay. So that took two notches down. I've seen people do demonstrations or tutorials before where they're pressing the, holding down the Option and pressing the down arrow like 5 or 6 times. Keep track of what you're doing. If you notice, I only had to do that twice because I knew that I bumped the eyes forward a bit. And matter of fact, I need to double check this one thing. Make sure I didn't do anything crazy. If you remember, we actually drew several frames. We drew the eyes open, then midriff, then completely closed. I can control those using my bracket keys. So I just hit the right bracket, hit the right bracket again. So basically, that is how that works. And doing pretty good. Let's see where we are on time. Not bad. All right, I'm going to zoom out here. Hello, Donnie. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, I believe, we are going to work with finishing up Donnie's mouth, so I can kind of do that. We've worked with the a symbol having multiple frames, but again, each one of the things that I've done here are just drawings, and drawings themselves can have multiple frames. So that is how the mouths would be done. Of course, when you're doing any type of animated character, especially cutout animation or limited animation, you have the different phoneme sounds, like what would the mouth be if it said O or U or V, or something like that. And again, I'm not going to do a true lip sync tonight, but I am going to go in and create several mouth shapes. Those are my sketches. Let's grab our default. Let's see. Matter of fact, let's do something real quick. A practice that I like to do when working on a character, if I'm working on, matter of fact, even when I'm working on any type of sketch, I will group my little sketches so I can get rid of those in one fell swoop. So I'm just making a little plus that's way over to the side here. Command G to group that. Now, do you have to do that? No, that's just something that I like to do. Now, let's get Mr. Correct Color here. And you know what? I am pressing down as much as I can. Time to show off another little feature. Let's get a bigger brush without going anywhere. I'm on my brush tool, hold down the O key. Zoom, I'm going to click and drag that out. Get the brush that I need. Thank you. Really, Tony? Okay. All right. By the way, let's also clean up some of my very ugly lines here. Stop that. Let's do selecting everything. Don't select the blue. Okay. Option Shift S. Too much smoothing. Let's try just you. Option Shift S. Thank you. All right, and let's go to this one here. Okay, I think that's doable. That's the other thing I like. Each one of these pieces is movable. All right. Now, a lot of times people will work with animatics or storyboards. A technique that I tend to do, and I did this when I was working in Flash, and I definitely do it when I'm working in Toon Boom, is I will animate, and the character can be really rough around the edges, and I'll fully animate it, and then sometimes I'll go in and clean it up, or I may hand it off to someone else and go, okay, go in and redraw this hand, or I didn't like the way that mouth turned out. Can you redo that for me? But it depends on what I'm working on. And you know what? Let's see. Is Donnie's chin separate? Let's find out. Yes, gentlemen, it is. Copy. When in doubt, paste. So let's grab Mr. Chin here. It's such a beautiful chin. Move it to exactly where it should be. Cut. Select that chin, paste. That's the other thing. I don't know if they ever fixed it in Flash. I would hate copying and pasting something and it would paste it somewhere totally different. Um, this program pretty much it will paste it exactly where you last left it, which I am grateful for. Not totally bad mouthing Flashes, and don't get me wrong, I use it for interactive stuff or banners or something like that, but animating I would rather use a program that was it's pretty much built by animators for animators, so that's what it feels like. Okay. How bad is this? Okay, not bad, not terribly bad, not great, but it'll do. Let's turn on Mr. Onion Skin. By the way, notice that you can turn on different layers of onion skin here. All right, so let's get our stroke. Where are we at on time? Looking good. Before we do that, one section, let's get rid of our sketches. By the way, I'm using my quick key shortcuts using the less than and greater than, moving back and forth through the frames. Let's get our stroke tool, turn on our D. All right, and get Mr. Paint Bucket. Looks good. Awesome. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom you up there for a minute. I'm just going to extend out my exposure for all 60 frames here, just by pressing F5. And let's press the D key so we don't see anything. What I need to do is look over here at my drawing substitutions, and the eyes are automatically closing right now. Well, we need to make sure they're going to stay open. So I'm going to use my bracket key, left bracket key, keep that open. Go to the next frame. All right, and so mind you, I just did that. There are no keyframes in our timeline. You can swap out drawings or using a drawing substitution, and there are no keyframes. What there are, let's see if I can zoom in here just so you can see this, are these little lines, and those little lines, for instance, this is on the mouth layer, tell us where we're actually changing a drawing. So I'm going to use my bracket key, go back one, select this next one, go back two, and I can select here. I can even come over here to drawing substitutions and drag it back to one. So now Donnie looks normal for all. Whoops. Make sure we give you that last frame there, or at least there. Donnie looks plain. There's absolutely nothing going on with him for all 60 frames. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pretty much I'm not turning on my animate button just yet because we're not really animating. I'm just calling on different drawing substitutions. I'm going to select his eyes, move my playhead. Let's go about here. We're about what, frame 15? And I'm using one bracket key, move one more frame, close the bracket key again. Just hold those eyes closed for 1, 2 frames. By the way, I'm working at a ridiculous frame rate of 15 frames per second because I like to. I'll explain that in a minute. Go back to frame 2. Move my playhead one more time. Go back to frame 1. Now, what did I do? I just called on those drawings at one particular point and did a nice little slow blink there. And later, about right here, I'm going to have him do a fast blink. So his eyes go straight closed. Hold that for 2 frames. Go back 1. Go another frame. Back. So I'm doing a combination of scrubbing, moving the playhead with my right hand, and my left hand, I'm pretty much using my bracket keys. So now, if I decide to play this, all right, and there's a blank frame somewhere. Where is it? Let's see. Ah, there's still a blank frame. There you are. Okay, now, that's better. So now if we play this again, all right, so that's done. And now I'm going to turn on this little yellow guy here. One difference, if you're coming from a Flash background, with Flash you're always animating. In Animate, unless you turn on this little yellow button, you're not really animating anything. And what I want to do, once his eyes go here, I'm going to go to the eyeball layer, drop in a keyframe, F6. I have my shortcut keys set to Flash right now. All right, let's do one particular thing. Let's move those to where they should be. And right now it's doing an automatic tween, which I don't want them to do. So I will do a quick key of, let's see, Command L. So it's just going to hold that frame there. And as those eyes come back up, so keyframe F6. And I want those eyes to be in a different direction. So maybe he's looking more pretty much at the camera. And we'll talk about why he looks cross-eyed in a minute. I'm going to purposely make this look really, really bad and show you how we're going to fix it. Maybe not that bad. Okay, that's fair. Okay. All right. So his eyes get closed again there. So let's do another keyframe, F6. And again, I don't want this one to move, so I'll do Command L. And maybe, just maybe, they go back where they should be. So by the time he opens his eyes up, let's make them up a little bit. Okay, so if I play this, okay, where are we at on time? Okay, one last thing. Let's see. Well, not one last thing, 2 things. So we're looking at Donnie right here, and his eyes look a little bit goofy. You know what, dude? That's really weird. So let's go to our drawing view. And hey, those are the eyeballs. You know what? It would be great. What if we could actually see Donnie's head while we're in this view? Let's turn on our light table. Ah, thank you. All right, now what I can do is go here, use my drawing tools, and I think, let's see. Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay, so his eyes look a little bit better now, so I can go in and adjust things as I need them. So even though that looks pretty decent. And same thing we did with the eyes. Let's click down to our mouth layer, use my bracket key. And again, there's a hole there we have to fix later in post. And I'm just, again, dragging my playhead. Normally, I would be doing this with some sort of sound. All right. Now, right now, again, this is going to have some, might have some holes here. Hopefully not. All right. So he's talking, sort of. Okay. And last but not least, let's grab our Animate button, collapse the head. Let's see, neck. We're going to give you a keyframe here. And the keyframe here. And as he's talking, I want him to kind of move forward. So I'll move this forward this way. But I'm going to tilt the head back this way. And we'll drop a keyframe here, F6, and we'll copy the very first frame. Command C, come over here to the very last, Command V, have him go back to normal. So we did our blink, then we went in and had his mouth move a little bit, and had his head move down forward a little bit. So now, words, hair. Even though his head's not moving that like angrily right now, I'm going to do something anyway. F6. F6 again, and we'll have it rock pretty forward here. Copy these last ones and post it here. So in theory, again, it's a little more aggressive for his hair right now, but just wanted to show you exactly why his hair is separated. And pretty much that's how I would go about animating something. And at any given point, if I decided I needed to come back in here and fix anything, let's turn off our Animate button. Let's say if I needed to fix the head, I would basically go to the head layer. Could even go to my drawing area and go, hey, there's this large hole there. Grab Mr. Paintbrush, grab skin color, and fix that patch. So now when we go back, oops, let's pause that a minute. Go back to the camera view. By the way, his eyes were red because those were selected, so it's not a paint thing. Okay. One little weird glitch here. If you notice that little hole kept popping back up, it's because it made a drawing, an extra drawing there, so I just had to put that back to where it should be. Turn off the onion skin so we can see a little better. And that's a quick breakdown of how you would animate the head.